In the halls of power, where empires rise and fall on single decisions, there exists a truth so dangerous that most will never dare to speak it. While the masses stumble through life, reactive and emotional, clouded by sentiment and wishful thinking, a select few have mastered the art that separates kings from peasants. They think with ruthless clarity. They see through the fog of human weakness. They make decisions that others call cold, calculated, cruel. But history calls them brilliant. The question isn't whether you're ready to learn these forbidden principles of mental dominance. The question is whether you're strong enough to handle the responsibility that comes with true clarity. If you think you are, then like this video right now, because what you're about to discover will either elevate you above the common herd or prove that you belong among them forever. The Awakening. Why mental clarity is your greatest weapon. Most people believe decision-making is about gathering information, weighing pros and cons, seeking advice from others. They think clarity comes from endless analysis, from perfect data, from consensus and comfort. This is the thinking of sheep. True mental clarity doesn't come from more information. It comes from cutting through the noise with surgical precision. Machiavelli understood this 5 centuries ago when he wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. The prince who hesitates is the prince who falls." In boardrooms across Wall Street, in the corridors of Silicon Valley, the most successful leaders don't agonize over decisions. They make them with cold, calculated clarity, while their competitors are still scheduling meetings. Consider this. Jeff Bezos didn't spend years analyzing whether Amazon should enter cloud computing. He saw the opportunity, calculated the risk in hours, not months, and moved while IBM and Oracle were still forming committees. Steve Jobs didn't conduct focus groups before killing successful product lines to make room for the iPhone. He trusted his clarity over the crowd's confusion. Your mind is either a weapon or a weakness. There is no middle ground. Every moment you spend in indecision, someone else is claiming the prize you're afraid to reach for. The first law of Machiavellian thinking is this: clarity is not about having all the answers. It's about having the courage to act on the answers you already know. The framework of power, 9 laws that separate masters from servants. What I'm about to share with you are 9 laws that have been whispered in the shadows of power for centuries. These aren't feel-good platitudes or motivational fluff. These are the brutal truths that separate those who control their destiny from those who are controlled by it. Each law will strip away another layer of the comfortable lies society has fed you about decision-making. The weak believe that good decisions come from good intentions. The strong know that good decisions come from clear thinking, regardless of how uncomfortable that thinking might be. Ancient Roman senators understood this. Modern CEOs understand this. Underground poker champions understand this. The question is, do you? These 9 laws aren't just principles. They're a complete rewiring of how your mind processes reality. They will make you uncomfortable. They will challenge everything you've been taught about being nice and considerate and collaborative. Because here's the truth that no motivational speaker will tell you. The world doesn't reward nice. It rewards clarity. It rewards decisiveness. It rewards those who can cut through emotional fog and see what others cannot. You're about to join a secret fraternity of thinkers who have learned to weaponize their mental clarity. But first, you must prove you're ready. These laws aren't for everyone. They're for the few who can handle dangerous knowledge without becoming dangerous people. Law number 1. Embrace the silence of superiority. The naive believe that explaining themselves shows intelligence, that justifying their decisions demonstrates wisdom, that sharing their reasoning builds trust. They fill every silence with words, every pause with explanation, every question with a dissertation. This is the behavior of the insecure, the uncertain, the weak. Here's the dark truth. The most powerful decisions require no explanation.
because they carry their own authority. When Napoleon decided to crown himself emperor, he didn't convene a panel discussion. When Warren Buffett decides to buy or sell billions in stock, he doesn't publish a white paper explaining his methodology. The decision itself is the explanation. Watch this dynamic in any corporate boardroom. The junior executive speaks for 10 minutes to justify a simple recommendation. The CEO listens, then says 2 words: do it. Who holds the real power in that room? The one who spoke the most, or the one who spoke the least but carried the most weight? Your practical application starts now. Begin responding to challenges with strategic silence. When someone questions your decision, pause for 3 full seconds. Count them, then respond with 1 sentence maximum. I've considered the options. This is the right move. The decision stands. No elaboration, no justification, no defense. Here's what happens. The questioner either accepts your authority or reveals their own weakness by continuing to probe. Either outcome serves you. Machiavelli wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." Fear doesn't come from threats. It comes from the quiet confidence of someone who doesn't need to prove themselves to anyone. The master's silence carries more weight than the apprentice's sermon. Embrace this truth and watch how quickly others begin seeking your approval instead of questioning your judgment. Silence isn't empty space. It's concentrated power waiting to be recognized. Law number 2. Calculate the cost of everything, especially loyalty. The masses believe that loyalty is a virtue to be given freely, that trust should be extended generously, that relationships are built on mutual goodwill and shared values. They form emotional attachments to people, ideas, and institutions without calculating the true cost of that attachment. This sentimentality is their weakness. The dark truth. Everything has a price, including loyalty, yours and theirs. The question isn't whether someone deserves your loyalty, but what that loyalty costs you and what it returns. Smart leaders don't give loyalty. They invest it strategically, and they expect measurable returns on that investment. Consider how Jeff Bezos built Amazon. He inspired fierce loyalty from his team not through friendship, but through clear value exchange. Work incredibly hard, think long-term, obsess over customers, and share in the massive wealth creation. When executives couldn't meet those terms, they were cut loose, regardless of personal relationships. Bezos calculated the cost of keeping underperformers versus the cost of finding better talent. The numbers always won. Your tactical script. When someone asks for your commitment, whether it's time, energy, money, or reputation, respond with this framework. Let me understand the mutual value here. Then outline specifically what you're contributing and what you expect in return. This isn't coldness, it's clarity. It separates real partnerships from exploitative relationships. Most people fear this approach because they think it's transactional. They're right, and that's precisely why it works. The strongest relationships in business, politics, and even personal life are built on clear, fair exchanges of value. When both parties know exactly what they're getting and giving, there's no room for resentment, manipulation, or unmet expectations. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I calculate the cost of everything. This single mindset shift will save you years of wasted energy on relationships that drain rather than sustain you. Loyalty without calculation is just another form of slavery to other people's agendas. Law number 3. Master the art of strategic ignorance. The average person believes that knowledge is always power, that staying informed about everything makes them more capable, that awareness of all problems makes them more valuable. They consume news obsessively, follow every office drama, involve themselves in every family dispute. They mistake busyness for importance and confuse being informed with being influential. Here's the counterintuitive truth. Selective ignorance is often more powerful than comprehensive knowledge. The ability to deliberately ignore irrelevant information, toxic people, and unsolvable problems isn't weakness. It's the ultimate expression of mental discipline. Masters of decision-making don't try to solve every problem. They choose which problems deserve their attention. Study how Elon Musk operates. He's notoriously absent from most meetings at his companies, rarely responds to criticism on social media despite seeing it, and famously ignores expert advice that contradicts his vision. This isn't arrogance. It's strategic cognitive resource allocation. While competitors waste mental energy on peripheral issues, Musk concentrates his full intellectual capacity on the handful of decisions that actually matter. Your implementation strategy. Create 3 categories for all incoming information. Critical, requires immediate attention. Valuable, worth knowing but not urgent. And noise, ignore completely. Train yourself to instantly categorize and then ruthlessly ignore the noise category. This includes toxic family members, office gossip, political arguments that don't affect your goals, and news stories that make you angry but don't impact your life. The practical script for deflecting unnecessary information. That's not on my priority list right now. No explanation needed. No apology required. No justification offered. People will initially be surprised by your selective attention, then they'll begin respecting your boundaries and bringing you only information that truly matters. Machiavelli understood this principle. The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. He wasn't talking about collecting the most people. He was talking about collecting the right people and ignoring the wrong ones. Law number 4. Never reveal your full hand, even to allies. The innocent believe that transparency builds trust, that sharing their complete strategy demonstrates good faith, that openness creates stronger partnerships. They reveal their goals, their methods, their concerns, and their backup plans to anyone who asks. They confuse honesty with wisdom and mistake vulnerability for strength. The harsh reality. Information is ammunition, and even your closest allies will use it against you when their interests diverge from yours. The moment you reveal your complete strategy, you give others the power to predict your moves, counter your plans, and manipulate your decisions. Smart leaders share information strategically, not emotionally. Consider how Steve Jobs operated. Even his closest executives rarely knew Apple's complete product roadmap. Each team received only the information necessary for their specific function. This wasn't paranoia, it was strategic information control that prevented leaks, eliminated internal politics, and ensured that Jobs maintained ultimate decision-making authority. When the iPhone was being developed, most Apple employees had no idea what they were working on until the public announcement. Your tactical application. Practice the need-to-know principle in all relationships. Share your goals with people, but not your specific methods. Discuss your challenges, but not your contingency plans. Reveal your timeline, but not your backup strategies. This approach protects you from well-meaning friends who might accidentally sabotage your plans and from competitors who are always listening. Here's your conversation script. When someone asks for details about your strategy, respond with, "I'll share more as it becomes relevant to you." This isn't deception. It's professional discretion. The most successful people in any field have learned to compartmentalize information and release it strategically rather than emotionally. Even in marriages, the strongest partnerships maintain some level of individual autonomy and strategic privacy. This isn't about hiding things. It's about maintaining the mystery and respect that comes from not being completely predictable. When people can't fully anticipate your moves, they're forced to treat you with more consideration and respect. Law number 5. Exploit the power of planned spontaneity. The naive think that spontaneity means being unprepared, that flexibility means having no plan, that adapting means being reactive. They believe that structure limits creativity and that planning kills authenticity. These people live at the mercy of circumstances, always responding to events rather than creating them. Here's the sophisticated truth. The most powerful form of spontaneity is planned spontaneity, the ability to appear flexible and adaptive while actually operating from a position of deep preparation. True masters don't just react to opportunities, they create conditions where opportunities are likely to appear, then position themselves to capitalize on them. Warren Buffett exemplifies this principle perfectly. He appears to make spontaneous investment decisions, swooping in during market crashes to buy companies at bargain prices. But the reality is different. Buffett spends decades studying companies, building relationships with management teams, and maintaining massive cash reserves specifically for these spontaneous moments. When opportunity strikes, his response appears instant and intuitive, but it's actually the result of years of methodical preparation. Your practical implementation. Identify 3 scenarios in your life where opportunities are likely to emerge: career advancement, business partnerships, or personal relationships. For each scenario, prepare your response in advance. Research the key players, understand the typical decision-making processes, and have your value proposition ready to deploy. When the moment comes, your spontaneous response will be devastatingly effective. The tactical script. This is exactly what I was hoping for. Use this phrase when opportunities arise that you've actually been preparing for. It positions you as someone who attracts good fortune rather than someone who scrambles to keep up with events. Drop this affirmation now. I prepare for spontaneity. This mindset transforms you from a reactor to a creator of circumstances. Most people wait for their moment to come. Masters engineer the conditions where their moment is almost inevitable. Watch how this principle changes your entire relationship with uncertainty. Instead of fearing unexpected changes, you'll begin welcoming them because you know you're better prepared than everyone else. Law number 6. Control the frame, control the game. But wait. Before we continue to the 6th law, understand this. What you're about to learn in laws 6 through 9 will completely reverse everything you think you know about reputation, influence, and control. If the first 5 laws made you uncomfortable, the final 4 will be genuinely dangerous in the wrong hands. The weak believe that frames are imposed by circumstances, that context is determined by external forces, that they must adapt to whatever narrative others create about situations. They accept the roles assigned to them, operate within boundaries set by others, and argue on terms defined by their opponents. This reactive mindset ensures they will always be followers, never leaders. The dark truth. Whoever controls the frame of a situation controls its outcome, regardless of facts, logic, or fairness. The frame isn't what happened. It's how what happened gets interpreted. Masters don't argue within existing frames. They destroy old frames and create new ones that serve their purposes. Donald Trump demonstrated this principle throughout his political career. Instead of defending himself against accusations within the established political frame, he consistently reframed debates entirely. When criticized for lack of political experience, he reframed it as being an outsider. When attacked for controversial statements, he reframed it as telling uncomfortable truths. Whether you love or hate his politics, you cannot deny the effectiveness of his frame control. Your implementation starts immediately. Before entering any negotiation, argument, or important conversation, decide what frame serves your interests and establish it early. Don't let others define the terms of engagement. Instead of saying, "Let me respond to your concerns," say, "Here's what we need to focus on," instead of, "I disagree with your assessment." Try, "Let's look at this differently." The practical script for frame control. The real issue here is, then redirect to your preferred context. This single phrase allows you to acknowledge what others are saying while shifting the conversation to ground that favors you. Remember, people don't argue with frames. They argue within them. Control the frame. Control the conversation. Control the conversation. Control the outcome. Law number 7, weaponize your reputation. Through strategic contradiction, the conventional believe that reputation is built through consistency, that credibility comes from predictability, that trust is earned by always meeting expectations. They try to be the same person in every situation, maintain the same image across all contexts, and never surprise anyone with unexpected behavior. This approach makes them reliable, but unremarkable, trustworthy, but forgettable. Here's the counterintuitive power move. Strategic contradiction makes you unforgettable and forces people to pay closer attention to your every move. When people can't easily categorize you, they have to treat you as an individual rather than a type. This unpredictability becomes a form of psychological influence that keeps others slightly off balance and intensely curious. Examine how Richard Branson built Virgin's empire. He was simultaneously a serious businessman, closing billion-dollar deals, and a publicity-seeking adventurer attempting world records in boats and balloons. These contradictions didn't hurt his credibility. They made him more interesting, more memorable, and more powerful because people never knew which version of Branson would show up to negotiations. Your tactical implementation. Identify one aspect of your public persona that people take for granted. Then occasionally demonstrate the opposite quality. If you're known for being analytical, surprise people with an emotional decision. If you're seen as reserved, make a bold public gesture. If you're viewed as collaborative, take a unilateral stand on something important. The script for strategic contradiction. You might be surprised to know, followed by something that challenges people's assumptions about you. This phrase creates immediate attention and forces people to reconsider their understanding of who you are and what you're capable of. This isn't about being fake or manipulative. It's about revealing the full complexity of your character in ways that serve your interests. Most people hide their contradictions out of fear of judgment. Masters reveal their contradictions strategically to maintain psychological advantage. Comment this phrase, "I am strategically unpredictable." This mindset prevents others from taking you for granted or assuming they know how you'll respond in any given situation. Law number 8. Master the economics of attention. The masses believe that attention should be given freely to whoever asks for it, that being responsive and available demonstrates good character, that accessibility makes them valuable to others. They answer every call, respond to every message, attend every meeting, and wonder why they feel drained and ineffective despite being constantly busy. The brutal reality: attention is your most valuable currency, and most people are giving it away for free to anyone who asks. Every moment you spend focused on someone else's agenda is a moment stolen from your own priorities. The scarcest resource in the modern world isn't money, time, or opportunity. It's focused attention from valuable people. Study how the most successful people manage their attention. Oprah Winfrey has layers of assistants screening every request for her time. Tim Cook schedules his days in precise blocks, with most meetings limited to 30 minutes maximum. These aren't signs of arrogance. They're recognition that their attention is their primary asset, and assets must be protected and allocated strategically. Your immediate implementation. Start charging for your attention, not necessarily with money, but with value exchange. Before agreeing to any meeting, call, or conversation, ask yourself, what am I getting in return for my focused attention? If the answer isn't clear, decline the request or renegotiate the terms. The powerful phrase that transforms how people approach you. My calendar is completely full, but I can make time for this if... Then specify exactly what value you need in return. Information, connections, resources, or reciprocal time investment.
Watch how quickly this filters out time wasters and elevates the quality of your interactions. Machiavelli wrote, "The vulgar crowd always is taken by appearances, and the world consists chiefly of thoughts."
Be vulgar. Don't be vulgar with your attention. Make people earn it, and they'll value both the attention and the person giving it far more highly. Scarcity creates desire. Abundance creates indifference. When you make your attention scarce and valuable, people will compete to deserve it, rather than simply expecting it. Law number 9. Embrace the power of strategic ruthlessness. The final law is the most dangerous, the most transformative, and the most necessary for those who refuse to live as victims of other people's decisions. The gentle believe that kindness is always the right choice, that compassion should guide every decision, that being nice will eventually be rewarded by a just universe. They sacrifice their own interests for others' comfort, compromise their goals to avoid conflict, and wonder why life seems to favor the selfish people around them. Here is the truth that will either liberate or terrify you. Strategic ruthlessness isn't cruelty. It's clarity about what matters most. It's the ability to make hard decisions quickly when softer people are still hoping for magical solutions that don't require anyone to be disappointed. Masters understand that resources are limited, that not everyone can win, and that trying to please everyone guarantees disappointing everyone, including yourself. Amazon's Jeff Bezos built an empire by being strategically ruthless with underperforming employees, unprofitable business lines, and customers who weren't worth serving. He didn't fire people to be cruel. He did it to protect the jobs and futures of employees who were performing. He didn't cut services to be greedy. He did it to invest more resources in services that actually created value. Your transformative practice. Identify the 3 biggest energy drains in your life: relationships, commitments, or habits that consume your resources without providing proportional value. Then systematically eliminate or restructure them over the next 90 days. This isn't about becoming heartless, it's about becoming strategic with your heart. The script for strategic ruthlessness. This isn't working for me anymore, and I need to make a change. No elaborate justification needed. No apology required. No negotiation offered. Clean, clear, final. Drop this final affirmation. I choose my priorities over everyone else's preferences. This single decision, to value your own clarity over others' comfort, will transform you from someone who reacts to life into someone who creates their own reality through decisive action. 13. The transformation. Your new identity as a master of mental clarity. Let me remind you of the 9 laws that separate masters from servants. Embrace the silence of superiority. Calculate the cost of everything, especially loyalty. Master the art of strategic ignorance. Never reveal your full hand, even to allies. Exploit the power of planned spontaneity. Control the frame. Control the game. Weaponize your reputation through strategic contradiction. Master the economics of attention. Embrace the power of strategic ruthlessness. These aren't just decision-making techniques. They're a complete reconstruction of your mental architecture. You now possess the same cognitive framework that built empires, toppled governments, and created billion-dollar fortunes. But knowledge without action is just entertainment, and you have a choice to make right now. You can close this video, nod approvingly, and return to the same reactive, emotional, people-pleasing patterns that have kept you exactly where you are. You can continue making decisions based on what feels comfortable rather than what gets results. You can keep giving away your power to people who don't even know they're taking it. This is the path of the masses. Safe, predictable, and ultimately forgettable. Or you can accept the responsibility that comes with dangerous knowledge. You can begin implementing these laws immediately, starting with the next decision you face today. You can join the ranks of those who shape reality rather than being shaped by it. This is the path of the few, uncomfortable, challenging, and ultimately unstoppable. Here's your proof of commitment. Like this video if you're ready to step into psychological power. Comment, "I control my own mind," if you're committing to these 9 laws. Share this with someone who needs to stop being a victim of their own indecision. Subscribe if you want to sue. Continue this secret initiation into the hidden laws of influence and control. The weak react, the strong respond. But the masters, they don't need to do either. They simply decide, and reality bends to accommodate their clarity.